You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. To some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of Remake, Sissel's Path. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. We gotta rescue Sissel from the lake. Alright. I let out a long breath. Oh my god, he's not dead! Ginny's shoulders finally relaxed as she choked out a relieved laugh. I think he's gonna be alright. Come on, let's call someone to help him home. Right. My hands were still shaking as I dug out my phone. I swore loudly when my clumsy fingers pressed the wrong button in my contacts. I tried to hang up, but to my surprise, Herschel picked up the phone almost instantly. Adrian? Oh, hey, Herschel. I didn't mean to call. Herschel let out a long, regretful sigh before speaking again. Listen, real sorry for that outburst earlier today. Don't know what came over me. Is Sissel doing all right? I gulped and hesitated for a moment. Herschel may have been unbelievably angry earlier, but he still clearly cared about Sissel's well-being. Making up my mind, I slowly explained the situation to him. I was barely halfway through before a sharp clatter echoed across the phone as Herschel stood up. His voice shook with worry and a hint of fear. At the lake, you said? I'll be there in 5 minutes with my truck. You kids stay put. Then he hung up. The next few hours passed at a slow and anxious crawl. A light rain drizzled through the city as the sun fell across the dark evening sky. Herschel had raced his truck to the lakeside road like a madman, easily breaking at least a dozen traffic laws. He looked utterly terrified and ashamed when he saw Sissel's prone body, but he leapt into action and carried him into his truck and out of the rain. Ginny and I were ushered inside as well, and before I knew it, we were back at the empty cafe. Yeah, it's such a cozy-looking bed. Herschel never left Sissel's side. Immediately after arriving at the cafe, Herschel placed Sissel in the bed and called a doctor to check up on him. Waiting for the doctor to arrive felt like an eternity. The three of us crowded into Sissel's attic bedroom and watched as the doctor examined Sissel's unconscious body. The door had examined him. The examination was quick, efficient, and impersonal, the way all doctors were when strained for time. Herschel stood up and nearly knocked over his chair when the doctor approached us. How's he looking, Doc? Is he going to be all right? The doctor nodded, and everyone in the room sighed in relief. Everything seems to be in order. No lasting damage has been done. I expect him to wake up by tomorrow morning with no issues. Please, call me if anything unusual occurs. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another appointment to attend to. The doctor shook Herschel's hand before making his way out the door. Despite the doctor's comforting words, Herschel still looked in utter distraught. He knelt by Sissel's bed and buried his face in his hands in frustration. I gotta thank you two for looking out for Sissel, and calling me when you did. I'm surprised you still trusted me after how I acted this morning. Of course. You were a little out of line with that outburst, but it's obvious you care about Sissel more than anyone here. Herschel lifted his head, his eyes dark. Billy didn't care enough. If I hadn't exploded in the kid's face, he wouldn't have went and tried to drown himself. Come on, Herschel, this isn't your fault. Sissel didn't try to drown himself. He isn't the type to do something like that. How do you know that? Herschel rose to his feet and stared quietly at Sissel's sleeping body, his chest rising and falling steadily. People are always more fragile than we like to believe. I stiffened uncomfortably. Did you see Sissel's face this morning? How utterly destroyed he looked? I knew what I said would hurt him, but I went ahead and did it anyway. Herschel hung his head in shame. Sometimes caring is not enough. Ginny approached the large man carefully. Say, Herschel, why did you get so angry with Sissel telling everyone about your national championship? Herschel was quiet for several long moments. I don't like to be reminded of it. It brings up some memories I'd rather forget. He shook his head. But it wasn't worth hurting Sissel like this. I'm so sorry. You shouldn't be apologizing to us. You should be apologizing to Sissel. There was a bitter edge to Ginny's words. When Sissel wakes up, you can tell him. And tell him why. He deserves the whole truth from you. Herschel chuckled bitterly at her words and nodded. I suppose he does. Anyhow, it is getting dark. You kids should hurry up and go home. I'll call y'all immediately if Sis wakes up. Ginny and I exchanged worried looks before nodding. All right, keep us informed. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully Sissel will wake up by then like the doctor said he would. Second, y'all. It is water time. Okay. As we left the cafe, the bone-chilling weight pressed over my shoulders ominously. I could hear the remnant's voice whisper with glee into my ear. What if he doesn't want to wake up? What then? Day 13. Someone is waiting for me. Sissel felt drowsy. There was a weight on his chest, like that heavy moment of exhaustion before waking up. A voice in the distance was calling him, but he was so damn tired. Sissel groaned and turned in his sleep, covering his head. Just five more minutes. Sissel, you're gonna be late. Not like there's anything left for me to do. You've got 10 seconds before I make you wake up. The voice was of an older woman. Warm, a little grovelly, and stern. Very stern. It reminded him of Jenny somewhat. He heard the woman clap her hands impatiently. Well, your 10 seconds is up. Huh? It's fucking cold! Did she throw cold water on him? Sissel shot out of his bed as though he had been electrocuted. Ice water trickled down his soaked hair as his eyes darted around the room, heart racing at a mile a minute. Aw. Took you long enough. I've been calling you from downstairs for the last 20 minutes. As quickly as it started, Sissel felt his heart skid to a stop. Mom? Cecilia Bradley put her hands on her hips with a playful scoff. No, I'm your conscience. Now hurry up and make yourself presentable. You don't want to be late for school today, especially with the culinary competition happening this afternoon. Sissel could only gape at her, his brain swimming in confusion. Cecilia frowned and came closer, combing her fingers through her son's wet hair. Did the water seep into your brain or something? Don't just stand there gaping like a goldfish. I'm gonna get breakfast ready. Come down once you've cleaned yourself up, hun. Especially your hair. God knows we're a family of messy mop heads. With a gentle pat on his head, Cecilia disappeared downstairs with an energetic smile. Sissel stared at her retreating back with eyes the size of dinner plates. What is happening? The last thing he remembered was following that dark figure into Bradley Lake, and then he was dragged under the water and knocked out. So how can he be here? Was this all some weird dream? Sissel shook his head wildly and finally took a moment to take in his surroundings. The bedroom he was apparently sleeping in was a cozy mess, a picture-perfect image of a bedroom he had always imagined him having to himself. Clothes were tossed about, hanging from chairs and door handles. Class workbooks that he remembered using with Jenny were sprawled along his desk. Sissel tiptoed across the room and caught sight of himself in the mirror. And he looked and felt cleaner somehow. A flash of yellow caught his eye, and Sissel finally noticed the pile of neatly folded clothing his mother had left him. He stared at it for a moment, slowly realizing he wouldn't have to wear an age-old torn tank top anymore. This is too surreal. But not entirely bad, I guess. If this was a dream, Sissel hoped he slept just a little longer. It took only a moment to change into his new clothes. It felt so fitting to him, unlike his ripped tank top and oversized torn shorts. He could get used to this. Oh, hello there. Sissel crept downstairs slowly, taking in every detail of this strangely familiar house. Family pictures hung on the walls with photographs of phantom memories. One photo showed a younger Cecilia carrying a crying Sissel to his first day at elementary school with a tiny backpack hanging from his small arms. The frame next to it showed Herschel jokingly pretending to place a baby Sissel into the oven before getting kicked in the face by his furious mother. 1 second, y'all. Water time. Oh, sorry, y'all. Dialogue wasn't on. Sorry about that. Here, let's go back. Another showed Cecilia, Herschel, and Sissel huddled under a bright Christmas tree. He could see a brilliant grin on his young face as he excitedly unwrapped presents that he never received. Except... when Sissel stared at the photos long enough, he could almost imagine it truly happening. He always wanted to live in a place like this. Yo, sissy, dozing off again, are ya? Herschel's sharp voice jolted him out of his daze. Sissel hurried downstairs to the side of his mother and Herschel bickering as they aggressively flipped omelets on the stove. Cecilia scowled as Herschel's omelet arced dangerously over their heads and nearly bounced out of the saucepan as it landed. Overcompensating for something? Herschel just grinned smugly as he plopped the food onto a plate. Salted I've beaten you 3 breakfasts in a row? I'll have you know that I've been going easy on you. Cecilia suddenly caught sight of Sissel and beckoned him cheerfully. Sweetie, your new outfit looks great on you. There was a flush of timid embarrassment across his face as Sissel hesitantly approached his family at the breakfast table. I don't understand. How can you be here? Cecilia laughed and ruffled his hair. Her hands were warm. Sissel couldn't help but shrug back shyly from his mother's cheerful smile. Are you still dreaming, sis? Come on, let's hurry up and eat. You've got a big day ahead of you. A big day? Yeah, it's Visitor's Day, remember? Your mother's been dying to see you kick everyone's asses in the culinary competition. Language. Sissel ate his food slowly. The omelet was delicious. This entire situation was such a strange experience. There's no way this is real, he thought to himself, but it was ridiculous. The way his mother and uncle bickered as they tossed the salt shaker across the table, but he couldn't help but smile. Everyone's heads perked up at the sound of excited knocking at the front door. Oh, that must be your friends. Friends? Yep. The door swung open to reveal Ginny's bright grin. Ginny, nice to see you again. Thanks, Mrs. Bradley. Yo, sis, what's taking you so long? Are you walking to school with us or not? Gran's gonna have an aneurysm if you're late to Visitor's Day of all days. Sissel stared at her, his mouth gaping like a stunned goldfish yet again. Teach? She was wearing a stringy summer t-shirt that exposed her shoulders. Ginny followed Sissel's gaze for a moment before her grin widened. She spread her arms and spun around excitedly. Oh, this? It's nice to finally wear something short-sleeved for once. The summer heat's been killing me. But your arms! Ginny blinked. Hmm? And what about them? Sissel paused for a moment before smiling softly. Nothing. I like your new outfit. It looks good on you. Sissel felt a sense of joy and relief wash over him. Teach was healthy and happy, just the way things should be. Sissel's ears perked up at the sound of someone approaching them. Sup? Oh, am I interrupting something? Adrian, what are you doing here? To walk to school with you guys? You know, like we always do? Sissel jumped slightly when he felt his mother nudge his shoulder from behind. Hey, isn't that the sad-looking boy you've been crushing on? Mom! Kinda disappointing that you inherited my horrible taste in men, but whatever makes you happy, I guess. Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Bradley. Sis still hasn't asked him out yet. There's still hope. I'm right here, you know. Unless Sissel wants to ask me out right here, right now. The heat in Sissel's face grew tenfold as he shoved all his friends out the door. Alrighty, we're heading to school. Don't want to be late and all that. Both Ginny and Adrian wore shit-eating grins on their faces as they let Sissel manhandle them on the lawn. You guys are awful! And you are too easy to tease. Well, come on, you assholes. Let's hurry up and get back to Gerania. Sissel paused at the feeling of a warm hand on his shoulder. Hey now, wait a moment, young man. You forgot your bag. Second, y'all. It is water time. Delicious. Another wave of shyness took over Sissel for a moment as his mother handed him a small backpack. Don't forget your stuff! And you're not going to leave without saying goodbye to your mom, are you? Oh, right! The two of them exchanged a quick and affectionate hug. Sissel was used to Herschel dragging him into goodbye hugs, but this felt different. It felt strangely right. I'll see you later, kiddo. He found himself in a slight daze, even after Cecilia retreated back into the house. A quick peek into his backpack revealed a lunchbox with a sticky note with Cecilia's squiggly handwriting. She had packed his favorite sandwich and snacks. Sissel never had a favorite food before. He always just ate whatever he could find. But he decided whatever she made, it'll probably become his favorite food anyhow. Hey, sis? Are you crying? Sissel wiped his eyes with his shoulder and stomped his way down the street. His heart felt light with content. Of course not! Come on, let's hurry up! Rain was pouring like buckets the entire afternoon. The skies were dark with gray clouds and roared with the occasional crash of thunder. The moment school had ended, I ran out the doors and rushed towards Herschel's cafe, ignoring the rain soaking into my skin. The cafe was empty, which was unsurprising after Herschel's outburst from yesterday. Ginny met me at the entrance with a grim frown. She was looking worse. There were noticeable stress lines down her cheeks that traveled up to the bags under her eyes. I hope she hasn't been pushing herself too hard these days. With a nod, she motioned me to follow her up the stairs. Herschel was sitting next to the bed with a stormy expression when we entered the room. Has he woken up yet? Herschel jolted up from Sissel's bedside, caught sight of us, and shook his head. No, not a peep from him since y'all brought him here. Nothing? He's been asleep for a whole 24 hours? Herschel's eyes were sunken with exhaustion and worry. The doctor said he'd be awake by now. Maybe this whole near-drowning business is worse than we thought. Ginny crept to Sissel's side doubtfully. Have you tried pinching him? Well, no. Ginny pinched the sides of Sissel's cheek with her gloved hand and yanked hard. There was no reaction. Sissel's eyes remained closed and unmoving. Mind being more gentle with him? How about slapping? Hey now! A resounding slap echoed through the room as Ginny dramatically smacked Sissel across the face. He remained as responsive as a rock. Damn, that always works in the movies. Listen here, I ain't no doctor, but blunt trauma probably ain't the correct treatment for comas. Have you tried dumping water on his head? Dumping water? Herschel groaned and rubbed his temples. No, too much water is the reason he's in this mess to begin with. It's weird that he still hasn't woken up after so long, though. Yeah, that's one thing we can agree with. I've been fussing over him the entire day and he still hasn't budged an inch. Think I should call the doctor over to take a look again? Sounds like a better plan than smacking Sissel over and over again. A crash of thunder suddenly shook across the sky. The lights in the cafe flickered and then went out completely. Well, damn. Ah, shit, that don't sound too good. Herschel pulled out his phone and tapped at it impatiently before stuffing it back into his pocket. No signal. This is just great. I'm gonna drive out to the doctor's office and grab someone to check on Sis again. You kids keep a close eye on him, alright? No slapping him across the face and such while I'm gone. You're gonna drive in this weather? The road's barely visible out there. I'll make do. I'll drag a doctor here by the throat if I have to. Sis is gonna get the care he needs if it's the last thing I do. Oh, wouldn't say that. Don't say that. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!